You're joining us from McMaster University today. We are in the Live Lab, and we are showcasing a very dear friend of CHCH. Hi.
Hi, Emily.
Hi. We've got Tania LaCaria joining us for her, well, one of many solo exhibitions. We're looking at some of her beautiful artwork today. It is called Voices. That's what she said. And I want to get into you. I want to talk about this art. I want to know what it means to you, what this exhibition is about. Give us what you got.
Well, thanks for coming back. This is such an exciting project. The Live Lab has been so kind to collaborate with me for Hamilton Arts Week in the show that's called Voices, That's What She Said. And I'm essentially elevating women's voices in our community and beyond with this audio-visual experience. And so this is what you're looking at right now is a combination of my original artwork that was inspired by monologues, speeches, and poetry by individual women's voices. That's all online. It's all in like a public platform, but they're voices that are not in the mainstream media that I think deserve a little bit more attention.
Okay, so give us an example of that.
So in this case, this piece is called Legacy, and this was inspired by the voice of Chris Noakes, who is a local woman in Hamilton. Chris is a member of the First Nations community, but also is a member of the ALS community. So Chris lives with ALS, and she sits on the board of directors of ALS Canada. And when Chris and I were first chatting about the opportunity to be involved in the show, I didn't realize how important it was to elevate Chris's voice because there's the risk of her losing it one day. And so this is an opportunity to just recognize how in some cases, for all of us, not knowing what comes in our future is actually a privilege.
Really.
And that's a privilege that Chris doesn't have. And so she's taking different steps towards her future that we wouldn't have to take. And I just think that that's an incredible element of life for Chris, and her voice needs to be heard.
And each one of these specific pieces, there's a story behind it.
Yes, absolutely. So each piece is very different, but this one, for example, has a lot of mixed media and 3D elements. And this is a voice by Ali Michelle, and she's talking about her ancestors and the way that her life as a woman right now is really only a result of the people who came before her and paved the way for her to be so independent. So her poem is a celebration of her past and her history, but also it's a way of elevating women's voices from her ancestry and for the women who came before her that had to fight for independence and the lifestyle that we have now.
And we have all these beautiful pieces that we're looking at, but we also have scripture coming up on the screen. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so a nice element of the Live Lab is the multi-sensory experience that we're allowed to provide here. So this video wall actually has a running transcript of all of the audio that is playing for each piece.
Oh, wow.
So when you come to the show and you're able to look at the art, you're able to hear the voices, you're able to experience the audio. But if you get caught up in a moment where you really want to know what the words of each voice are saying, the video wall is running that the entire duration of the show.
Wow, this is so incredible. You've done such an exceptional job here. I can't wait to explore it a little bit more. Don't go anywhere. There's so much more coming up on Morning Live. Trying out something really cool here at Live Lab, and I'm now being joined by Dr. Lauren Fink, who is from Live Lab. What's going on here, Lauren? What are these special glasses doing?
Okay, so these are mobile eye tracking glasses. What they're doing, there's a camera in the center that's filming the world, and then there's two small cameras on your eyes. So what we can see in this feed, if we look at your cell phone, this is exactly what you're looking at, where you're looking. So you look over at Tania, you look over at the Live Lab logo at me.
Yeah.
Hopefully now you see that they're looking at me, right? So this tells us where you're looking in real time, and from that we can learn a lot about how people pay attention to the world, what attracts their gaze, what are they interested in, and then we can also compare across people. Do people look similarly at, for example, Tania's painting?
Yeah.
So, what we're really excited about for this show is that if people want to, they absolutely don't have to, but they can choose to wear these glasses as they navigate the pop-up gallery in the Live Lab, and then we'll be able to see later, like, you know, what can this tell us about aesthetic experience as people, you know, share this awesome exhibition that Tania's created.
That's remarkable. So, you know, Tania can look back and see exactly what specific elements of her art drew people in the most,
right.
essentially.
It could also maybe provide insights to her for future pieces. And the cool thing with this exhibition is there's also audio. So when people are listening to the speeches, you might have noticed that Tania's incorporated a lot of words into her painting. So maybe when they hear a certain word, their gaze is immediately attracted to a certain part of the painting, and we'll be able to pick that out later.
That is so cool. And this is what Tania was wearing. She was wearing the glasses while she was painting.
Yeah, I feel like I should tell you about what's going on here. So these are just a few excerpts, but I've got tons and tons of data. Tania was super kind to wear these glasses as she was creating some of the pieces in this exhibition. So when you see the screen go black, that's when Tania's blinking. But basically that little circle is where she's looking as she's creating this art. So we also can study the creative process itself, and what can we learn from gaze data about. So here's another piece now we've just switched. So this little video here is just on a loop. So you see now she's tracing
the heart. Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
You can see how the hand follows the eyes. The eyes kind of go ahead of the hand. So we can learn a lot from tracking this kind of data.
Wow. Now you guys are going to be here on Saturday and Sunday, right, during the exhibition?
Exactly. We'll have tons of student volunteers. It's also a great opportunity for our McMaster students to become involved in the community and in collaborations with artists.
Incredible. Okay, we have so much more coming up. We're going to head back into the lab itself to check out Tania's art a little bit more in depth. So don't go anywhere, but for now, I'm going to send things back inside the studio. We are back in the lab now, checking out more of Tania's beautiful art, and I'm now being joined by a good friend, Tammy. Tammy is involved in real estate here in Hamilton, a local Hamiltonian, and someone who absolutely loves art. Your friendship with Tania, so great. How did you guys meet?
We met, I saw her online, and I was interested in her art and her spirit, her positive spirit. So I had a couple of friends, and we went to her studio. We had a lovely afternoon, and then I went home with a painting called Wild and Free.
And you have worked with Tania on a bunch of different projects.
Yeah, I have worked with her on a few things. One of them was a Second Skin project, which was an installation that we all worked on for Halton Women's Center, or Place, I'm sorry. Halton Women's Place. And it was just a lovely experience, and Tania led that group.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what I love most about Tania and her art and her friends is that it gives women such empowerment.
Right.
You know, how were you guys involved? Like, I know Tania did most of the art, but how did you guys get involved?
She actually did not do the art in the project. She led the project, and we did the art. So we did we did everything in layers and layers. Not very much actually talking, but painting.
Right. Oh, that must have been so much fun.
Yes. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Like, there's something about, I mean, I would not call myself an artist, but Tania comes into our studio from time to time, and her and one of my other co-hosts, Tim Bowen, they paint, and they do an excellent job every time. So she's a great teacher.
I've seen those.
Yeah. I don't know about Tim, but she's a great teacher. What are you thinking about this space? Give me your view.
I just love it. I love it. You know, Tania's the perfect artist for this because she puts so much emotion, like even hurt and pain, into her paintings. But it always comes out in layers, beautiful layers, and it's like courage and strength, and then gleaming at the end.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it just wonderful? Yeah. Okay, bringing tears to our eyes here at LiveLab. Beautiful art to focus on. We are coming back with more from McMaster. Don't go anywhere. Now, you don't hear it right now, but when you first walk into the lab to see the art, there is a series of voices and poetry and experts being read out loud, and it's so noisy and it is so confusing and so overwhelming, and that's what Tania wanted to really get across, almost like the platform of social media where there's so many things out there that can distract you from what's really important. So when you do go in front of a specific art piece like this one, this is beautiful, and this has been inspired by Tania's friend Chris, you actually hear Chris's voice coming out of the speaker reading a beautiful, beautiful poem. How does this resonate with you?
Well, I mean, it was a great opportunity to collaborate with a friend, Tania. It's really touching. It's really thoughtful. It's Indigenous History Month, as well as it's also ALS Awareness Month. And I'm known for my smile, always smiling. So this is a piece where I talk about what's behind my smile. And it gives people a glimpse of what it's like to live with ALS, a disease that is terminal. There is no cure. It is the most misunderstood, misdiagnosed, underfunded disease. And so it gives us a chance to also have conversations about that. And what we found today is when you start talking about ALS, you realize that it is a rare disease, but it's touched so many people's lives.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you were telling us outside of the studio that, you know, no matter where you are, no matter who you're talking to, there's always been some connection. And the fact that Tania was able to kind of mend all of this together in a beautiful piece of art.
We talked about, you know, how fragile life is, and that how a lot of people don't have to think about voice banking, about eye gaze, which we're also talking about here today. So, you know, and the fragility of life. So, you know, and how she has the beads for Indigenous, my culture and traditions, and then the lace as being fragile. Like, there's so many different aspects of the piece that relate to my life living with ALS, and really everybody's life. And, you know,
It's true. Everybody's life is fragile. You don't know what the next day is going to bring necessarily. So it's really important to kind of step back and focus and kind of take the time to pay attention to important things.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what a lot of this art really encompasses. It talks about, you know, the voices that we hear, especially female voices in this specific exhibition. Voices, That's What She Said, is running this weekend. And you can catch it in LiveLab at McMaster University, and it is going to be a spectacular show. Of course, we're going to put all the details up on our website at chch.com. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.